Hi there, welcome back to Apatros Review. In this episode, The Sadist, also known as Sweet Baby Charlie, directed by James Landis in the year 1963. Hi there, welcome back to Apatros Review, your guide to the wild world of science fiction, action, horror cinema with me, your host, Mila Sipka. If you want to spell my name, just look at the channel name. Now, and this is basically a channel where you get awesome reviews from a scary looking bastard. That's me. Just kidding. Not a bastard. And by the way, Fairfield is pretty much in lockdown shit hell. Yeah, it's bad, man. But I'm doing good. I'm always being a survivor. Anyway. Now in this episode we look at the film The Sadist, which was released in April 1963 in the US, in West Germany of 7th of August 1963, and in the UK, I'll be in the cut version on 6th of September 1963. If you don't know, this is basically a fictionalized version of the story of Charles Starkweather. I'll get to that momentarily anyway. Now, if you want to get this, there is a Blu-ray available that has a pretty decent package, but my print is from the Pure Terror set. It appears to be the television print, because it has the narration at the beginning of the film, but it has the Sadist title to it. Anyway. Now, it was directed and written by James Landis, and stars Archibald Jr., his real-life cousin Helen Hovey, who plays the one of the teachers, and Marilyn Manning, who played his girlfriend in Eager. Now, a nasty drive-in thriller from 1963, The Sadist is a fictionalized retelling of the real-life murder spree conducted by Charles Starkweather. For those who don't know about this murderous piece of shit, I'll offer up the following rundown. Charles Raymond Charlie Starkweather was a nasty person who later became Nebraska's most infamous killer. Bullied as a child due to his low IQ, his severely bow-legged walk, and love for the James Dean film Rebel Without a Cause, and a lot of young people who liked that film back then were considered losers in society, outcasts. Charlie dropped out of high school at 16 and briefly worked as a lorry loader for a local newspaper company. Dropping out of that job, he claimed his first victim, a gas station attendant, over a matter of $100 in late 1957. He then went on to conduct a crazy 8-day murder spree in January of 1958, killing 10 people, not including the guy he killed the year before, including the parents and baby sister of his then 14-year-old girlfriend Carol Ann Fugate. He told her he was holding the family hostage. She didn't know about the family's murders until after he was caught, and the pair spent 6 days inside their home before the suspicion from the neighbors forced them to flee. Most of the people that Charlie killed were due to him wanting to rob them and steal their vehicles. Finally caught by the police after a wild car chase, Charlie Starkweather was found guilty of murder and went to hell through Nebraska's electric chair on the 25th of June 1959. Basically rode the lightning. As for his underage girlfriend, Carol Ann Fugate, she got a life sentence but was paroled in June 1976 and has repeatedly applied for a pardon, claiming she had no choice but to go along with a bastard of a boyfriend's killing spree, but has been rejected every single time. Now, as for The Sadist, also released under the title Sweet Baby Charlie, which is by the way, the public domain print in Mill Creek's Pure Terror set appears to be the television print since it has the opening narration, which runs for about 40 seconds, but is otherwise uncut. This was the only time when Archibald Jr. turned in a decent performance. In fact, he has a field day with the role of Charlie Tibbs, a fictional version of Starkweather. Or for the fictional version of Carol Fugate, played by Marilyn Manning, Archibald Jr.'s girlfriend in the bad movie classic Eager. A second, my script is... I got it. Yeah. Had her age bumped up to 19 to avoid censorship problems in MPAA, despite the real age of the real Fugate being common knowledge at the time. You know, they had standards back then. They still live it. Anyway, the film's story is pretty deceptively simple. 3 high school teachers, played by Richard Alden, Don Russell, and Hall Jr.'s cousin Helen Hovey, in real life his cousin, stop at a remote Californian auto yard to find a replacement fuel pump after their car breaks down. The trio expect to be on the road within 30 minutes. They're going for a Dodgers game, baseball. But what they don't know is that a thrill killer named Charlie Tibbs and his 19-year-old girlfriend, Judy Bradshaw, had murdered the family that owns the auto yard, in fact killing them right before they even had their breakfast. and need a working car to make a fast getaway. Food's still there, it's still hot. As they make their presence felt, the trio of teachers find themselves in a nightmare situation. They need to keep the psychopath calm and placid until they can fix the car, but Charlie is a live-wire sociopath who hates teachers with a passion equivalent to the fires of hell, and will make sure that he doesn't go to hell without tormenting a few teachers first. Shot with some excellent cinematography courtesy of Vilmos Zsigmondt, who later went on to shoot some of Steven Spielberg's classics, and shot in real time too. Second, the film pretty much goes for a second in real life too. The Sadist is one of the greatest exploitation films of the early 1960s drive-in market, and the best ever role that Archibald Jr. ever played. By the way, he actually retired from acting a few years after that and went on to become an airline pilot. His other films have been utter junk, and I reviewed Eager some time ago, like a year ago, and his filmmaker father's attempt to make him another Elvis failed dismally, but Hall Jr. really made his mark on the horror genre with this one. Being a crack shot with a pistol also worked to Hall Jr.'s favor, since the production's attempts to use blanks with the Colt 45 failed. And by the way, for those who don't know, in movies, you can't just load the weapons with blanks and expect them to work perfectly, because blanks actually generate, because they don't have enough as much power as real live rounds use. So any weapon that's self-loading, that uses recoil to load, like automatic, semi-automatic pistols, rifles, anything that isn't bolt action or pump action or lever action or a revolver, those four types of weapons are fine. But any other weapon that's self-loading has to be modified, and you can't modify it back to fire live rounds. So only revolvers, lever action rifles, pump action shotguns, lever action shotguns, and bolt action rifles. Those ones can fire either blanks or live rounds. So they weren't able to use blanks that Colt 45, so they decided to fire real bullets and simply fire them over the heads of the cast. So some of the gunshots in the film are authentic. In fact, the knowledge of that makes watching the film even more unnerving. The motorcycle cops who appear are also the real thing, off-duty cops who did escorts for a little extra cash. The film was initially banned in the UK, but then released with cuts, the uncut version finally making its appearance in British home video in 1999. By the way, the index picture for this video is actually a slightly modified version of the 1988 Rhino home video print. If you noticed, I had to remove a little bit extra from the bottom. Anyway. Now, while the film's take on the Charles Starkweather story does have a few of those artistic liberties, but that is acceptable here. The taut script is well written, and scenes of the teachers trying their best to keep Charlie calm only to realize he's not going to budge from his mission in life to kill are very unnerving. Honestly, if you're after some early 1960s exploitation horror, The Sadist is definitely one of the era's classics. Now for gore. There's no gore except for a bloody forehead from being pistol-whipped twice, and a very clever way of depicting a headshot from Colt 45 without being too graphic. As for nudity, nothing like that here, although there were some drive-in films that came out at the time that actually had nudity in them. The BC Yucca Flats, anyone? Very awful film that was, but at least the uncut version had a really cool nude scene in the beginning. I mean, the film in my collection that has the oldest nudity would be the Continental version of The Flesh and the Fiends, in case you're wondering. That's from 1959. But the fact that the killer's mole was based on an underage accomplice to a notorious killer might provide some unsettling flash fantasies to some people's minds. Now to say this earns a spot on my A spectrum with an A-, 8 out of 10. This is an excellent film, and while the film's depiction of the Starkweather case is a little too free and easy to be considered accurate, it is however well polished and very scary if you understand what happened with the real life version of the killer. The print that is on the Mill Creek Pure Terror set looks reasonable enough, indeed one of the better prints on that set. It has some slight issues, but it's actually one of the cleaner ones. And like I said, there's a bit of dirt and marks on it at times. Looks like it was taken off a really good quality film reel or something. So that's it for The Sadist, an A-, an 8 out of 10. It's a classic. An excellent film. Pretty much a minor masterpiece in a way. Any film in the A spectrum, my book is a masterpiece. A plus being the full masterpiece. Okay, that's it for the Sadist. Now, I'm gonna try and do films. I won't be able to do films every second day in August, like originally planned. I'll still leave that for October. I've got a little surprise for October, so get ready for that. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Stay safe. By the way, those idiots who protested at the around Australia cities are doing a bad idea because, look, I hate lockdowns. Honestly, I hate them. But unfortunately, because this Delta variant of the virus actually spreads incredibly fast, those idiots, by protesting, actually, look, I sympathize with them, but the problem is they pretty much let themselves wide open for more cases to come, more infections. It would be more better to protest on other ways instead of going there without masks. But anyway, now I don't do requests, but if you want to know of a particular film or collection, or any types of horror or sci-fi action film you want me to cover, or you think I can cover, just hit me up in the comment section. I'll let you know if there's anything of that sort coming in. And for those who keep sending me links to sex sites, don't do it. I'm gonna block you. Any comment I find that has a link to a sex site, one of those sites, I'll remove. Okay. Hope you guys are staying safe. Take it easy, and see you around.